Hello, this is Father Michael Nasser coming to you from St. Nicholas Orthodox Church here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And today I want to get into what I want to reflect on by talking about the thing I hate the most about West Michigan. Now, I love almost everything about West Michigan. Been here for 6 years. I've been to the beach more than most local native West Michiganders. I've seen more of the Upper Peninsula than most people live there for 80, 90 years. But one thing I hate about this area, when it rains, I don't know what the problem is. You cannot see the lines. I don't know if we just didn't want to spend the money in reflective paint. When there's any water on the road, you can't tell where the lane markings are driving. So there I am last night trying to get back from Wisconsin, go through Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, get to Michigan, and all of a sudden, because it's raining, you can't see the lines on the road, and it's pouring rain. And it's awful. Now, I don't want to talk about paint. I don't want to talk about lines on a road, but I do want to talk about guidelines, lane markings, not just of driving, but of life. And I think it's a really huge problem, and it's actually a really serious problem. We live in a time when so many people want to decide for themselves what is right and what is wrong. God has shown us from the very beginning of his revelation, back in the time of Genesis, all through the time of the Old Testament, and especially in the time of Christ and thereafter, there are guidelines. God says, within these bounds, this is good. Outside, no good, to sort of oversimplify it. And yet we live in a time where people want to say, I will decide what's good and what's not good, and the church is bad if the church has rules, says what's good and bad. It's a really big problem. Because I hear more and more people saying, well, I don't go to church anymore because I don't believe in those rules that the church teaches. Well, if you believe in the church, and a lot of people don't anymore, but if you do, those rules come from God. They are God's rules. We usually know why they're there, but not always. Or we know some reasons, but not all of them. But we know what his rules are. We know what the commandments are. We know what's within the lines and what's outside the lines. And kind of like my drive back last night, we live in a world people want to take away the lines. And let me tell you, it's awful. It sounds great. Go wherever you want to go, but it is awful. And there are so many people that I see distancing themselves from the church and very often from God himself because they don't want to have the lines. They don't want to have anyone else decide what's in and what's out. What's inside the line, what's outside the line. What's between the lines, what's outside them. And I see this more and more where people are saying, I don't believe that, therefore I don't believe it, meaning the church. I don't believe him, meaning God. Our God loves us. This is everything we know about the revelation that comes to us from the Bible and beyond in the Christian faith. It is all about love. Including the fact that if there are rules, even that's about love. It's all about love. If God says, do this, it's because it's good, not just to him, for us, or for the people around us. If he says, don't do that, it's not good. Do we know all the reasons? Like I said, we don't always know all the reasons why. But we know what the rules are. We know what the lines are. So, as it's awful to drive down a road and not be able to see where the lines are, it's like that in life too. It's like that with the teachings that God has given us. We want to see the lines. It's good to know the lines. We may not find it easy. In fact, we're not going to find it easy. That's kind of the point sometimes, is not to find it easy, but to know that, you know what, if I want to follow him, this is where I go. And that's what the Christian faith has given to us as a revelation from Jesus Christ himself. This is how you live. You do these things, you don't do these things. Why? Because certain things, just like in a lane, you follow the lane, it takes you where you want to go. You go outside the lane, it doesn't always do that. You end up places you don't want to go. So, I hope this reflection is helpful for you because so many people are not realizing that they are making decisions that are taking them away from God just by focusing on the lines and not wanting to know why God says this or that, or not even really caring sometimes. You and I have it offered to us to be able to follow God, to seek his will, to seek to understand his will. That's part of what we do in the church. We seek to understand the will of God and then to do it. So I hope all of us will reignite our appreciation for lines, not just the lines in the road, but the lines in God's direction and instruction for us how to live. I hope you found this reflection helpful. If so, please share with your friends via social media. And God willing, we'll see you in next week's video.